Hi friends, in our time together today, I'm introducing a march that I think is just a delight to play, and I think you will as well. I'll put the name right here because I don't want to mess it up, and I know I will. But this march goes by a wide variety of other names as well. John Doherty's March, Highland Lassie Going to the Fair, and others. I'll mention that a bit more when we get to the history of the tune. For our walking through and playing the tune, as I introduce the tune, I'm going to be using the Kerry Tenor D. I have said before, and I'll say repeatedly, that if you're looking for your first low D whistle and you want one that will not break the bank, you don't need a tunable whistle, and this is like the perfect whistle to learn the low D on. It plays freely, easily. You could play bottom to top, has good tone quality. It's just a great whistle, not only to learn on, but that you'll keep for a long time. So I'll stick a link as to where you could pick one of these up. The link will be to the Kerry Whistles website. But, feel free to do a web search and see where else you might be able to pick one up. But make sure you do some price comparisons. You may find that buying it directly from Phil is the cheapest option. We'll follow our usual pattern. I'll walk us through the tune, playing each phrase slowly, and I'll stand so that you could see my hands. The tune has an A part and a B part. Each of these repeats. After walking us through the tune, just phrase at a time, I'll then, in the play along with Scott section, play the entire tune at a steady pace. And when I do this, and when I introduce it and when I play it, I do the core of the tune as I discern it. And see, my goal is I don't want you to learn my ornamented version, though I will share my ornamented version a little bit today, and in a couple of days we're going to do a practice session working on the tune and really talking more in depth on ornamentation. So, but I want you to learn what I feel is the core of the tune, because if you learn the core of the tune, you are freer to ornament it for yourself. If you learn my ornamented version, then you're having to replicate that and change up the ornaments, and you're not real sure what the core of the tune is. That's why I introduced the core of the tune. And for that, I'll put a link at the top of the notes to this video to the page on my website from which you could download the music and tabs for this delightful, delightful march. After the play along with Scott section, we'll talk about potential difficulties you may experience. We'll think through some ornamentation and expression, and then we'll chat about the history of this really, really fun march. So, my friends, here is the A part. Just the one phrase at a time, and I'm going to pause between phrases so that you could see the phrases. The idea here, even if you read music, I still want you to be able to see and hear a more listening way of learning. Listening and watching. That's the A part, and that repeats. Now I'll introduce the B part. then is you transition back to the B part, you will play that little walk in and then end the tune as you like. See, a lot of these tunes are crafted so that you're going from one tune to another in a session setting where you're just playing them, you know, end to end to end. And so that step down or that step back into the tune can actually be used as the transition to the next tune. So I might end that just take the two A's at the end before this walk in, and then just kind of close it there. Well, in the play along with Scott section, let me play through the entire tune without ornamentation, apart from minimal tonguing, so that you can differentiate between the notes at just a steady pace. Because you want to get the flow of the tune, right? That's the whole tune. And the idea of the play along with Scott section is that after you get a chance to learn the core of the tune, just play it along with me a couple of times, just so that the core of the tune is cemented into your brain and fingers. Let's think through trouble spots I think you'll encounter as you're learning the tune. As I look at the tune, it's a quicker tune, but it seems to flow well. If I were to do like kind of up the pace without ornamentation, that actually may have been a little quick, but not, you know, just a little under that maybe. I've heard it played. So that works pretty well. I think the tune flows well, and it's a great finger exercise. The challenge I think you're going to encounter is playing that second octave A, which of course seems really easy on the Kerry Tenor D. That's because it is really easy. Depending upon your whistle, you may need to lean into and learn the pressure required to play that well. But you do have, you know, in some of our different practice recommendations, I talk about the need for octave jumping. And in this tune, at the beginning of each line of the B part, you have to do an octave jump. The first octave A to the second octave A. So you do it in the middle of the first line here. So there are a couple of ways to do it. You can, and you'll hear me say this recommendation a number of times, and just repeat things is helpful. So you can just simply punch that, or you can bring your breath pressure into it if you're good at that. And notice if you push that hard, I did that kind of intentionally. You could be more gradual with your breath pressure, but if you want to punch it, you could push your breath pressure. But the problem is, you really, in playing, you want a steady breath pressure, consistent going throughout. But even with that said, to jump to that second octave requires increased breath pressure. And so that's why I break it there minimally. The other way you could do is you could ornament to it. I think a slide's kind of fun here, a quicker slide. And so that's kind of fun too. Or you could do a little cut going into it. Something to break into the notes, kind of fun. Anyway, it's not a lot of difficulties with the tune. I think you'll find it fun. As far as ornamentation goes, it's a fast, fun dance tune, even though it is officially a march. You're going to feel like dancing around rather than marching around, or maybe you're march dancing. So if I'm thinking through some of the ornamentation, I'm going to want it a little bouncy. So you can do, I'm going to work on that. And I would like you to as well. Like from here, I want you to learn the core of the tune. And then in a couple of days, we're really going to focus on the ornamentation. Because I need to work on it some, but I'm feeling kind of slides and punchy cuts and taps and rolls, kind of the usual fare. But we'll see what I really do. So let's think through the history of the tune. The tune, as I said at the start, goes by quite a few names. John Doherty's March. John Doherty was a famous fiddle player in the Donegal area, and I think this is a tune he loved, and so he must have played it enough that it became associated with him. And you can hear recordings of him playing it, which is really awesome. And again, I said like the official name, I'll stick here again so that I won't mangle it in my attempt to pronounce it. So some version of that, the Mhín Na Toitean Bull, or the Gentle Bull of Toitean, Highland Lassie goes to the fair, March of the Mhín Na Toitean Bull. So it's just quite a few names. I've heard that this is the Irish version of what was originally a Scottish tune, and because that lets me know that this is really an old tune, because there was a lot of Scottish-Irish bleed over. I should have said Scots, not Scottish. A Scots-Irish bleed over between songs and culture, and so you get a lot of that. So that means it's an old Scottish march that was adopted by a lot of Irish musicians as well. Now, much more about the history of the tune I really couldn't substantiate or find. And so let's just say it's an old tune that everybody loves, from Scotland to Ireland for a long time in that cultural exchange. And so the number of names and the Scottish history and the Highland Lassie goes to the fair, and an Irish version lets us know that this is just a long-loved tune. So, I hope you love it. My friends, if this is a fun video, please like it. Share it with some friends who are learning to play tunes. If you're brand new and just checking us out, please subscribe. We'd love to have you along for the journey. Until next time, my friends, this is Scott Shade. Happy whistling.